The boss fights are the best part of Hollow Knight, at least in my opinion, but not every boss fight is created equally. So let's rank every Hollow Knight boss from worst to best. In terms of what I look for in a boss, I personally consider a boss good if it provides a challenge, has a wide variety of engaging attacks, makes you consider how to use your entire kit, and bonus points if it ramps up in difficulty as you go and or has multiple phases. If it has a statue in the Hall of Gods, I'm considering it a boss, except for Zot's Eternal Ordeal, that's less of a boss and more of, well, an ordeal. If the boss has two versions, I'll be lumping them together as one ranking, so for example, False Knight and Failed Champion will have just one ranking together. I'll mostly focus on the tougher variant as that's the version that I find more fun, but the base version is at least worth mentioning here and there. Difficulty, favorites, and fun are all subjective. This list is just my personal opinion based on my own experiences and is just for fun. That being said, if you disagree with any of my rankings, I'm open to discussion and constructive criticism, so feel free to share down below. Let's get started. Number 36. Look, I don't actually think this one is the definitive worst boss, but it is easily one of the worst bosses, and I have to put it here on principle alone. This boss disappointed me so much that I had to break my own made-up ranking rules on our first entry and separate it from its counterpart. This boss had so much potential, so much aura, and it wasted it all. Winged Nosk. Winged Nosk had so much potential. Taking the massive skittering frame of the Deepness Deceiver and turning it into a flying monstrosity with no safe little ledges to hide behind this time. In case you don't know, this design is a reference to Nosk's badass original concept art, which featured wings and a long tail. While I'm glad that Team Cherry was able to surprise us the first time through by having Winged Nosk disguise itself as Hornet in one of the Pantheons, the fight that follows unfortunately falls flat. Winged Nosk is basically just a glorified version of the Vengefly King, and Vengefly King sucks, but we'll get to that one soon. The fight basically boils down to standing around and praying it does its big swooping down attack so you can hit it once or twice before it just hangs out at the edges of the arena way up in the air. You can sneak in some Shade Souls to speed things up a bit while it's hiding in the uppermost corners of your screen, so that's a plus I guess. There is some variety in its attacks, like spawning infection balloons and raining down infection onto the arena in an attempt to make the fight more interesting. Unfortunately though, they just have the side effect of making the fight feel longer and more boring, as I sit there and pray for another swoop attack so I can smack it again, only to be disappointed when it does something else. Another infection rain attack, oh boy. It's truly unfortunate that such a badass design be wasted on such a boring slog of a fight. Definitely my least favorite fight in the series. Number 35. Vengefly King. I don't blame Vengefly King for being as simple as it is. It's an early game boss and basically just a nail pogo tutorial. I just have to rank it higher than Winged Nosk because at least it doesn't waste an epic concept and design on the same fight structure. Stand around and wait for a swooping attack and sneak in Shade Souls when you can. I'll give this one some credit, at least it's cool enough to eat Zot if you leave it alone. Not a great fight, but I don't really blame it for being that way based on how early in the base game you can find it. Number 34. Massive Moss Charger. How the heck did this thing sneak its way into the Hall of Gods? You've got two attacks. Charge it, you head on, or jump in the air. If it does the jump attack, you just walk under and repeat until it does the charging attack, from which point you just smack it until it's dead. This one is less of a skill check and more of a rhythm check, and even though my white ass definitely does not have rhythm, charms like Mark of Pride and Quick Slash completely trivialize this encounter. Hardly even a boss, but at least it's quick and doesn't waste my time like the two bosses preceding it. Number 33. Nosk. I'm sorry Nosk fans, as a concept and on the design and lore side, Nosk is absolutely incredible. It lures you into its den with visions of people you know, till it's got you right where it wants you and reveals its true terrifying form. How does it read thoughts and memories of approaching bugs to know what form to take? This thing is super creepy and the atmosphere and buildup of the fight is so well done. It's just unfortunate that once you actually get to the fight itself, it's a bit underwhelming. You can either pogo over Nosk as it dashes back and forth across the arena and deal with probably getting hit by its somewhat janky hitbox, or you can hide by this little safe ledge and smack it as it runs over you. This is the safer and smarter option, but it makes the fight long and boring as you wait for Nosk to come to you and move from ledge to ledge. Maybe that's just an issue with how I tackle the fight, but I don't know. I feel like most people fight Nosk this way, let me know if I'm wrong. Number 32. Flukem, the alluring goddess of motherhood. Just look at all those. Anyways, this isn't really a fight if you're smart enough to equip Shaman Stone and spam Upspell. The challenge in this encounter doesn't even come from the boss either, as she just sits there and spews children out of her orifices at you. During your regular playthrough, this fight can be tricky unless you've upgraded your nail enough to one-shot her babies. But once you have enough nail upgrades, one-shot a couple babies and start screaming at her until she explodes. That last sentence probably sounds super weird out of context. She's more of an upgrade check and an obstacle than an actual boss fight. Number 31. Grs Mother. probably the first boss most people run into in Hollow Knight. I'd say this is the turning point in our list where the fights are no longer just bad, and it's only going to get better and better moving forward. As a very early game boss, Grs Mother has very basic attacks. She'll either try to directly tackle the player or give herself insane head trauma. I do like that on Ascended and above, her arena takes the simple boss fight and makes things much more interesting by placing spike pits everywhere. I also like the twist during the regular playthrough where you think you've won only for her babies to emerge and keep the fight going a little bit longer. I wonder if anyone's died by putting their controller down after defeating the mother. You can be honest, this is a safe space. Number 30, Soul Warrior. Another case of hardly a boss making it into the pantheons. This fight is fine. He teleports around and you have to react in time to see if he's lunging at you from the side or from above. He's also got those glowy soul orb attacks that home in on your location. They don't track as well as the ones the Radiance shoots out, thank goodness. This goes for all soul orb attacks, but I wanted to mention that I like how you can hear the soul orbs whisper whenever they're cast. It's like the voices of the bugs the soul was taken from still linger. Overall, not bad, but could be better if maybe he was a bit faster or something. Number 29, Marmu. You know those toys that are just a paddle with a ball and a string attached to it? They still make those. Fighting Marmu feels like that, but if the ball on the string was sentient and could slightly curve its trajectory to mess up your timing. The lowest of the warrior dreams on our list, mostly just because of how annoying this fight is compared to the others. All of the warrior dreams are pretty one-dimensional fights, and Marmu is no different, as all she does is roll into a ball and home in on your current location. Her somewhat inconsistent trajectories make her a little hard to keep at bay sometimes, especially if you happen to knock her into something and she bounces off in a way that you don't expect. Mark of Pride and Quick Slash usually help with this fight though. Number 28, Enraged and Crystal Guardian. Enraged Guardian is just Crystal Guardian with faster attacks and double damage, so we'll be talking about the Enraged Guardian today. Although, to get it out of the way, Crystal Guardian's gimmick of blocking a helpful bench in Crystal Peak is super cool in my opinion. The Guardian will jump around the arena and occasionally shoot lasers out of its hands at you, while other various lasers rain down from the sky periodically. This fight is extremely fast-paced. If you're not paying attention and reacting in time, stray laser will clip you and take 2 masks. At the same time though, the Guardian does not have a lot of HP and you can burst him down in several seconds with the right loadout. A fun, quick, and inoffensive fight. Not that much special going on here though. It could have been better with maybe another laser attack, or even like a fake out laser where he pretends to shoot to bait a jump out of you, only to actually shoot once you land. Unless you react and double jump out of the way, that is. Just an idea though. Number 27, Elder Hu. This guy is kinda just a nice break to refill my soul in the pantheons. He only has 2 attacks. The first is spawning magical golden pancakes in random places above you, giving you a second to get out of the way and then slamming them down. The second is incremental slamming attacks with the magical golden pancakes. This time, ones that go from the edge to the center of the arena, and all you need to do is shade cloak dash towards the edge when they get close. I wish this fight ramped up in difficulty in some way, or if he could at least have a third attack. Maybe for the third attack, he could make pancakes come from the sides instead, so you have to dash through them like Absrad's swords, just to mix things up and make you think a little bit more. As is, it's a fine break and a soul refill charge in the pantheons, and I don't mind fighting this guy. Number 26, God Tamer. First encountered in the Colosseum of Fools, this duo of Master and Beast initially served as a roadblock to many at the end of the long trial. The Tamer leaps up in the air and towards you in slow motion with a slash attack as they land. Super easy to dodge. The real danger here is the Beast. The Beast has 2 attacks. It can either roll in a ball and sonic spin dash towards you, or hawk to a bunch of infection blobs at you. The spin dash is an easy dodge with a pogo or a double jump. It's the spit that really gets me here and there though. When I initially wrote this script, I was talking about how I usually fight these 2 in a slow and boring way, where I hide up on the walls and just cling up there until the Beast gives me an opening. This was very slow, very safe, and very boring. In the footage on screen, you'll see that I just stuck to pogoing over the Beast's head, and this was way faster, and not to mention just as safe. The coolest part about this fight is how you can end it early depending on what order you defeat the duo. Defeating the Master first means the fight continues, and you have to defeat the infected Beast as normal from there. But defeating the Beast first leaves the Master too broken to carry on. Sad to see, but a clever mechanic and the ideal way to end the fight sooner. It's fun managing 2 enemies on screen at once, but it's done better later on our list. This one also isn't too challenging without the pressure and nerves that come from being at the end of a Colosseum. Number 25, Zero. Typically the warrior dream most people fight first. Pretty one note like the others, but the fight ramps up in difficulty nicely by upping the pace when he doubles how many of his little light needles he's carrying. On Ascended and above, this fight is much harder and makes you think much more, since there are gaps in the floor and you'll need to consider your positioning amongst the platforms available at all times. Overall, a decent challenge and fight. Number 24, Gorb. Said to contain all of the world's knowledge within its brain. Maybe it knows when silksong's coming out. That's great and all, but I enjoy this fight a lot because I like listening to the funny noises they make the whole time. I'm easy to please in that way. Gorb shoots out light needles like Zero, and as the fight progresses, they interchange the starting positions of those needles between bursts, so that you have to slightly reposition yourself to continue dodging them. Also like Zero, on Ascended and above, the flat floor gets replaced by a few platforms that make you consider your positioning a little bit more. Not that challenging, but a pretty good time. Number 23, Umu. I feel like others might rank this big Metroid way lower than I have here, and if we were only considering the fight during the story playthrough, I'd definitely be right there with you. I don't like long immunity phases where I'm stuck waiting around for the game to decide when I can do something. That version of Umu where Quirrell helps you would definitely place bottom 5. But Pantheon Umu feels way more in your control. After fighting this guy enough times, you get a feel for how to lure him towards the explosive jellies and trigger Umu's vulnerability more reliably. You can use Shade Soul to trigger the explosion from afar, and burst this King Jelly looking thing down really quickly with double hits. Challenging fight to learn at first, but ultimately very rewarding to master in my opinion. Number 22, Gallion. This deep nest dwelling dream warrior doesn't bring too much difficulty with him as he hurls his cool scythe and energy balls around the arena, but he's really satisfying to upswing at for some reason. I also like that the scythe is homing while the energy balls just bounce around, making you use more of your brain power to dodge everything at once as they operate on different trajectories. All this while still smacking him with your nail. Plus, the fight does ramp up in difficulty slightly when he spawns yet another orb. It does go down rather quickly though, which is a bit of a bummer. Number 21, Brooding Mollik. Yes, it has a visible butthole. Yes, I had to mention it. This is an interesting fight where if you stay too close for too long, you'll get a claw swipe in the face. You have to dance in and out of the Mollik's range to dodge claw swipes while also watching out for the infection blobs it spits into the air. Every now and then the Mollik will just jump around randomly, which is a pretty easy dodge. Same deal when it charges up and spits a ton of infection, you can just pogo over the Mollik into safety or downspell to be invincible as the blobs land. It's not too challenging of a fight and the boss goes down somewhat quickly, but I like that it reacts to where you're attacking from with its retaliating claw swipes, so you really have to consider your spacing. Number 20, Oblles. This fight is strangely tough for me, but not tough as in I ever die to them, just tough as in they always take a few of my masks and make me waste a bunch of soul healing. At the start of the fight, you have to deal with 2 Oblles slowly floating around and shooting slow-moving projectiles in all directions. What I like most about this fight is its second phase. These two are actually a mated pair, and one of them gets extremely upset when you kill the other. The surviving Oblable gets a major health boost, speed boost, and projectile speed boost. Bullet hell fans will probably find both stages of this fight easy, but my brain can never fully understand the projectile fire pattern, and I always get hit a few times before this one is over. Number 19, Markoth. Probably the most difficult of the warrior dreams. What's cool about Markoth is that he's unique amongst the Moth tribe as they do not usually use weapons. It can be really hard to find an opening against Markoth as he bombards you with light needles, while simultaneously his dream shield spins around him. After dealing enough damage, he'll spawn a second dream shield and speed up the pace of the needle attacks. The ramp up factor's there, the difficulty's there, the fight's just kind of annoying as sometimes it takes a lot of waiting to find a good opening between his needle spam and his shield spins. Number 18, No Eyes. Probably not most people's favorite dream boss, but I really like her lore and the overall creepy atmosphere of the fight. No Eyes herself doesn't directly attack you, but the spirits of her dead children bob and weave their way through the arena, and you'll have to carefully navigate the platforms to avoid being hit while she sings a creepy lullaby. Not too tough of a fight once you get used to the wave-like path the babies fly in on, but the fight does have that ramp-up factor where the less health she has, the faster the babies move, making it a little bit harder to react and dodge. She's also weirdly satisfying to Great Slash since she likes to teleport away most of the time that you hit her, but occasionally she'll stay still and let you wail on her. Number 17, Soul Tyrant and Soul Master. Bros built like Elon Musk. And what a coincidence, they're both soul-sucking abominations. The enhanced dream version of this fight really does a great job of raising the stakes of the base fight. The base fight is a bit on the slower side since you can reach it with hardly any abilities or power-ups. The attacks are the same in both versions, but I like that the Tyrant is just the base fight but faster and overall less room for mistakes. For example, his slam attacks in phase 1 have taller shockwaves, his slam attacks in phase 2 have a larger radius, and his attack where he's surrounded by energy balls has more of them on screen. They took an okay fight and turned it into a really good one. He'll be dashing around a lot trying to hit this guy as he teleports all around the arena, and he'll keep you on your toes with big slams and energy waves you'll need to dodge horizontally and then vertically, respectively. I always get clipped once or twice in phase 2 just because I have bad timing and dash slightly early, so I still have fun trying to figure that timing out. He's got one of those homing soul orb attacks too, but they're not really a problem until he starts spamming them like crazy in phase 2. Oh, and the fake out death in the story playthrough is also really cool your first time through. Number 16, the Collector. This seemingly failed or rogue void construct makes for a goofy, fun, memorable, and quick-paced fight. Definitely a unique and memorable encounter. Since the Collector is comprised of void, you won't be able to generate any soul from your nail while wailing on it. So that's where this fight's main mechanic comes in. As the fight goes on, the Collector spawns in more and more random captured enemies for you to deal with. By the time you've got enough nail damage to one-shot the random enemies, you'll be okay though, and this fight will be a breeze. Still, I find it extremely satisfying to use Quick Slash and blitz my way through everything in the arena until the Collector's nothing but blobs on the ground. Number 15, Traitor Lord. Sharp Shadow user's wet dream. This fight is somewhat basic, since he's basically just a beefed up version of the Traitor Mantis enemies you fight leading up to him. But it's fast paced, and he deals 2 masks per hit, so I'm sold. He's got 4 attacks, a wind up into a dash, a jump into a lunge, a ground pound to create big waves, and a disc attack. You can avoid him ever using the disc attack simply by staying up close and personal on him though, so if you're aggressive, it's really only 3 attacks to worry about. Quick Slash and Strength is enough to quickly melt this glorified Shadow Dash management tutorial, but he can drop you just as quickly if you're not careful and reacting correctly. I also love the contrast between his meaty swings and the quick nimble ones of his former comrades. It's a nice touch. Number 14, Hive Knight. I love a good 1v1 nail versus nail showdown. This fight is very reminiscent of the fights with Hornet. Hive Knight is quick and uses spike traps that shoot out in annoying patterns. I swear one of them always clips me and I lose a mask or 3 on this guy each time I go through the Pantheons. You have to keep a close eye on Hive Knight and react quickly to see if he's going to lunge straight at you or teleport behind you before attacking. Guess wrong and you'll get punished. There's also the hilarious Bee Vomit attack, which can be somewhat tricky to deal with as he attacks you mid-Bee Barrage. I also want to take a minute to talk about how cruel Hive Knight's walk from the nearest respawn bench to his boss arena is. I honestly think it's the most punishing in the game. Don't lose to this guy if you can help it. Even if you open up the shortcut in the middle of the hive, you still have to deal with dodging the homing drill bees and the big ones that deal double masks on the way back to the fight. Absolutely diabolical. Number 13, White Defender and Dung Defender. I could sum up why I like this fight by just playing all the weird and fun voice clips this character makes while you fight him, but I'll just play one for now.
Domo, 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 domo!
This is an upbeat and enjoyable fight since the White Defender is just having the time of his life the whole time. Whether he's hurling poop, swimming in poop, poop bending, or just rolling up in a ball and bouncing around, he's laughing while doing it. That kind of energy is contagious. He's having fun, so I'm having fun. Number 12, Nail Sage Sly. This fight is such a badass inclusion, man. We learned Sly was actually the one who taught the 3 Nail Masters when we went below his shop and were granted the Charm Nail Master's glory. But actually getting to fight him in the Pantheons? Incredible. I love how tiny he is with his absolute unit of a nail, swinging it around with the utmost of ease. One of the absolute best details of this fight is how he incorporates all 3 nail arts that you learn throughout your journey into his moveset. And he makes them all massive. He's got a dash slash that covers the whole floor, a great slash that's huge, and a cyclone slash that carries him up and into the air. It's so cool to see mechanics you've learned taken to the next level. Since Sly is so tiny and fast, he's really hard to hit, meaning you'll need to be quick and precise with your timing and spacing. This fight legit feels like a Hollow Knight equivalent of fighting Master Yoda. Phase 2 shakes up the fight completely. In Phase 2, Sly will jump around to the edges of the arena extremely quickly, and then go in for a big swing before jumping away again. You'll have to be observant and have great timing and spacing to hit Sly before he zips away. Nail range charms or nail arts help here. Overall, an awesome fight I never thought we'd get to see. Number 11, Lost Kin and Broken Vessel. Bosses of similar stature as the Knight are very few in this game, but they're always a treat. It's especially interesting to see a boss that's essentially just a version of our character that failed somewhere along the way. You'll have to watch out for the sweeping lunge attacks across the arena, both in the air and on the ground. They've also got a downward slam attack reminiscent of the Knight's, and a heavy metal headbang attack that I just spam down spells through. The only downside of this fight I'd say is that the boss doesn't have a lot of HP, so you can blitz it down pretty quickly compared to other bosses. But otherwise, a great inclusion. Number 10, Grey Prince Zot. Can't believe I used to hate this fight, and now this bumbling idiot is somehow in my top 10. This joke boss actually provides a decent challenge, and he pissed me off at first because he's not even trying. He trips over himself, he flails his nail around wildly, and he just has this goofy lack of effort that's really irritating to lose to. It's a pretty funny concept to take a useless character and turn him into the way he sees himself in his head. And I know this is Bretta's dream, but same thing, I'm sure he sees himself in a similar way. Zot also sometimes does these fake outs with his body slam attacks, tricking you into dodging early and getting hit in the process. I like to use downspell for iframes just so I'm not playing the guessing game, and it's made the fight way more consistent for me. This is still a fight where I feel I have to be on the edge at all times or this idiot might catch me off guard and land on my head. Number 9, Watcher Knights. Absolutely iconic enemy design. Just look at this Hollow Knight key art. I love that you stumble into this arena thinking you're just fighting one guy, then his whole crew gets up. I find dodging these bouncy and rolly warriors extremely satisfying for some reason. I think a lot of the credit goes to the crunchy sound they make when you smack them with your nail. This is a good and simple nail duel with a handful of enemies to deal with, made more interesting by the fact that they can attack simultaneously. And yes, I know about the chandelier trick. Number 8, Nightmare King Grim and Grim. I feel like I probably have this guy lower than most people would. Don't get me wrong, Grim is a super cool character with interesting lore implications. For example, one of my favorite lines from him is when he calls the Pale King a worm spelled W-O-R-M, while others refer to the Pale King as a W-Y-R-M. He's making fun of a pale being, implying he believes himself above even the pale beings. Super interesting stuff. For the fight itself, many compare this one to a dance, and I can kinda see it. Nightmare King Grim deals 2 mass per hit, and I practiced this one so many times now that I do this fight on autopilot and my brain is just off. Honestly, I get hit more on regular Grim than I do on Nightmare King Grim because I'm just not used to how slow the base fight is. Badass character design, challenging fight at first, but never ramps up in difficulty despite how long the fight is. You'd think a boss with major health indicators, the pufferfish attack, would have something new at the final 50% or final 25% health point of his health bar, but no. The fight is great, I just expected a little bit more. Number 7. Failed Champion and the False Knight. Without a doubt, the best enhanced dream boss in the game. False Knight was already an incredible beginner level boss, but they took that and turned it into a demon. The slow, lumbering swings and the floaty jumps of the False Knight have been replaced by brutally quick slings and speedy jumps when facing the failed champion. The big guy can wear you down quickly since he deals 2 masks a hit, and you have to do the whole thing with little soul since the armor doesn't generate any. But you can farm a good chunk of soul by dream nailing him when he's stunned. I think the first time I encountered Failed Champion, it took me about 2 hours of deaths before I finally won. And now I can beat this guy hitless no problem. I love this fight for turning an easy early game encounter into a challenging and rewarding one. Number 6. Hornet. I said it before, but I love nail 1v1s. Technically Hornet's weapon is a needle, but whatever. The second Hornet fight is an awesome roadblock and a big step up from her first fight in Green Path. She's a quick and nimble fighter with some tricks up her sleeve and her spike traps. I think the inclusion of her traps is super cool, and I'm glad that silksong will lean further into that side of her character. She's clever and uses her resources to gain the upper hand. Spike traps we see in Hollow Knight are annoying if you don't smack them away before she starts to attack you again, since you might accidentally run into them while dodging something else, which adds another layer to the fight. It's kinda hard for me to explain why I like this fight so much. It's only moderately challenging and nothing crazy compared to some of the other top 10s. I think I just enjoy the back and forth against someone of similar stature as the Knight, but this is still only my second most favorite sibling fight in this game. Number 5. Paintmaster Shio. One of the most creative fights in Hollow Knight. I absolutely adore this one, and even called it my favorite fight for a while. It's awesome getting to see Shio wield a brush rather than a nail. While he does have a charge up nail art attack, he still does it in a very unique way by involving his new passion. Every attack in this fight is choreographed based on what color paint Shio is using at the moment. After enough time, you'll learn what each color of paint means, and from there, you'll have one of the best and most creative 1v1s in the game. My only complaint, if I had to be picky, is that his HP feels a bit on the smaller side and the fight's over really quickly. There's also no ramp up in difficulty as the fight goes on. Number 4. Oro and Mau. Setting aside their differences to beat your ass together is so cool, man. In case you don't know, Oro and Mau used to be very close, but had a falling out after a major disagreement, which is why they live on opposite ends of hollowness from each other during the events of the game. So just when you think you've gotten used to dodging one nail master's swings and nail arts, the second one drops in. Their eyes meet in a moment of mutual understanding, they let out a battle cry, and they make a temporary truce to fight you together. It's awesome how they work together to weave in and out of each other's attacks, covering some openings that would have been more easily exploitable if you were only fighting one of the two. Plus, they each use their own unique nail art in the fight, which is really cool and sets them apart from each other. This fight checks all the right boxes for me. Number 3. Sisters of Battle and Mantis Lords. Yeah, I think everyone knew this would at least be top 5. This fight is so peak in both iterations. First part of the fight against one Mantis serves as a warm-up or a tutorial, and once you've got that down, playtime is over. Seeing all 3 Mantis get up at once was an absolute shock the first time. Mantis Lords was already fun in the base game, but Sisters of Battle elevates it to an adrenaline-filled rush as you evade an onslaught of attacks from all directions. I feel like the meme of the guy sitting forward in his chair every time I play this one. These 3 do not want to let you breathe. What can I say about this fight that hasn't already been said? It's fast, it's challenging, rewarding to master, and ramps up in difficulty after defeating the first Mantis in Phase 1's pseudo-tutorial. The only part of the fight that's a bit slow is once one of the 3 Mantis goes down during Phase 2. Pace of the fight only slows down from there, and by then you'll know you've already won, and the last two are just delaying the inevitable. I guess it's better than all three of them suddenly stopping at once though. Number 2. Absolute Radiance and the Radiance. After all the horror stories I heard about Absolute Radiance, I was expecting to hate this thing. I was expecting to come out of this fight bitter, tired, and jaded. I think I just got tired, but in a good way. Regular Radiance is a bit of a pushover once you know you can combine Shaman Stone with Spell Twister, or some big up spell spam that absolutely melts her and ends the fight in seconds. Because of that, I never really learned that fight properly. But Absolute Radiance? No cheese here. You have to sit down and learn to dodge each attack or that's it. Back to the beginning of Pantheon of Hollowness for you. The first time I reached Absolute Radiance was on a whim. I didn't even expect to make it all the way, since I hadn't played Hollow Knight in a while, but somehow it happened. And at 2 masks a hit and no practice, that fight was over in less than 30 seconds. This is one of those Hollow Knight fights that takes everything you know and forces you to apply it through multiple phases. Evaluating your charm build, shadow dash timing, platforming, down spells for immunity, up spells for burst damage, your own knockback and where you'll land after that mid-air. It all culminates here in what is Hollow Knight's most difficult and most rewarding fight to master. This is Hollow Knight firing at all cylinders and asking you to lock in, and I love this fight for how much I had to work for the win. So, then why is it only number 2? Number 1, Pure Vessel and the Hollow Knight. This is what Hollow Knight is all about. It's fights like this one that leave me in disbelief that I got this game on sale for $8 one day. I love both versions of this fight for different reasons. The Pure Vessel fight is the best 1v1 nail duel in the game. It's amazing to be able to see the Hollow Knight in its absolute prime. Both arms are intact, it's got fresh white armor, and it's faster and stronger than the base fight. At 2 masks per hit, this fight is tense and will test your reaction speed. It's not as hard as Absolute Radiance, not even close, but I don't even care. A lot of people bring Sharp Shadow to this fight, which is totally valid since it helps you dodge the triple slash attack. The triple slash attack was the hardest attack for me to learn to dodge, but you can totally do it without Sharp Shadow by just adopting a sort of hit and run playstyle here. If you're already backing up after hitting them, you'll be far enough away to either double jump over the triple slash or down spell and be invulnerable through the end of it. This is an extremely rewarding fight to learn, and you'll know you've made good progress once the Void Tendril attacks start to come out. But even though Pure Vessel wins on the combat side, the Hollow Knight wins in terms of atmosphere, themes, and emotion. I mean, they named the game after this thing for a reason. Entering the arena, the Hollow Knight watches in silence as you break its bonds. As the fight rages on, more and more of the infection fills the room. You'll eventually hit a point where the Hollow Knight begins stabbing itself, which raises some questions. Is the Hollow Knight attempting to stab itself in a desperate attempt to destroy the source of the infection inside? Or is the Radiance ripping holes in the Hollow Knight to free itself more quickly? It will stumble. Its body will be possessed by the Radiance as it desperately flails around, trying anything to break free and destroy the attacking knight in the process. Again, it attacks itself. All the while, the sad music creeps in. The fight is over. The Hollow Knight did its best to serve its purpose, but can do so no longer. A prompt to focus pops up on screen, and my favorite ending begins to play. I love this game, man. That's it. That's every boss in Hollow Knight ranked from my least favorite to most favorite. Which boss is your favorite and which boss is your least favorite? Subscribe so I can quit my job and make fun videos like this one all the time. See ya!